time is about to be 12:30, so if you haven't already, start thinking of a question that you could ask our panel. They're willing to answer most questions, so with their perspective, so yeah. All right, so panel, if you could take a moment and introduce yourself to the crowd. Tell us your name, your major, your year, and any other facts you want to share with us.
Okay.
Hey y'all, my name is Victoria Lindsey. I am a senior and I'm a political science major, and I'm active in NAACP, Black Legal Society, and Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated here on campus.
Hey y'all, so my name is Sahar Shazad. I'm a psychology major with a minor in business law. I'm in Pakistani Student Association, and I'm also a member of MSA. I'm an LU Success Partner and a Cardinal Community Mentor.
Hey guys, my name is Caleb Love. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I'm an education major with a composite science concentration, and I am classified as a senior. I aspire to go to law school upon graduation, and my leadership roles, I was a campus tour guide, or RA. I'm currently the SGA Senator for the College of Education and Human Development, and I'm also the second Vice Grand Boss List of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, which is the highest international undergraduate position that my fraternity has.
Hello everyone, my name is Jasmine Patin. I'm the SGA Vice President. I'm a senior here at Lamar University. My major is sociology with a concentration in race, class, and gender. I'm also active in Lamar NAACP, where I serve as a student advisor. I'm active in Black Legal Society, where I serve as the event coordinator, and various other organizations here on campus.
Thank you all for joining us today as panelists. We know it's not an easy position to stand in front of your peers and have a discussion and lead the dialogue for this campus, so thank you for that. Can you just tell us a little bit about your LU story? And we'll start with whoever wants to go first.
I guess I could start. So my LU story is pretty, it's the polar opposite of my story in high school. So high school was definitely the blueprint of what not to do. So when I came to Lamar, I had a different type of love and respect for Lamar, because Lamar gave me an opportunity that a lot of other schools didn't give me, just due to my my application of myself in other avenues. So when I came to Lamar, I came with a perspective of this is going to be what I make it. So my freshman year when I got here, I got involved immediately. I actually had a summer bridge program, which was the AMP program. It stands for African American Male Professionals. So the whole purpose of the organization was to increase the retention rate in African American males at Lamar University. So AMP kind of got me off to the best of starts. I gained some lifelong friends. One of them is actually my roommate off campus. We live together in a house off Lavaca. So I gained some lifelong friends, and I also learned just kind of the importance of just you can only go where you surround yourself. So you can't control your environment as far as where you're placed, but you can control your environment as far as who's around you. So I noticed when I started surrounding myself with positive people, just a lot of positive things started reciprocating in my life. So I got involved immediately. I became the security guard for the residence halls, and that just gave me the opportunity to just, I guess, get my face out and see people. I would see people every day scanning their IDs, and I'll be at the front reading my books. So I kind of created a presence there, and then it just moved from me being a campus tour guide, giving public speeches to groups of people, and then it ultimately transpired into me becoming an RA, joining the fraternity, and kind of being where I am now. So I feel like the earlier you start, and also if you start a little later, it's still no problem with that either. But the earlier you start, you'll reap a lot of benefits early as well. Just as far as just getting your name out, building different relationships and different social groups that you typically wouldn't socialize in. And I feel like that is what will propel you, in life. So that's my OU story.
I'll go next. So I came to Lamar University in fall 2016. The first organization that I joined, one of the first meetings I ever went to was NAACP. And NAACP stands for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. It's a civil rights organization here on campus, and I never really kind of felt as welcome going into that meeting, you saw people who looked like you, who believed in some of the same ideologies as you and supported you as a person and saw you as a whole rather than pieces of you or the pieces that looked the best. So that was one of the first organizations that I gravitated to, and I'm really lucky that I did get involved. I would definitely recommend all of you all to get involved in an organization that you feel like reflects your values as a person. So I got involved in that organization. Ever since then, I've been in that since fall 16, so 4 going on 5 years now. And I'm really grateful for that experience. Victoria is not the president of that organization. I met a lot of my friends with the organization as well. And really finding my community here on campus, I feel like really goes into my LU story. Finding people who see you for your fullest potential, similar to what Caleb was saying. You really have to surround yourself with people who will kind of propel you in the right direction. So I was really active since my freshman year. I feel like that's definitely what propelled my success here at Lamar University. So my OU story is really just getting involved on campus. This wasn't per se the university that was my first choice of attending, but I feel like me with my own dedication, I've kind of made it my the best story for myself because of my campus involvement. I keep on going to that because organizations here at Lamar, I feel like is where really kind of saw you as people, really kind of served you, especially as an African-American female student here on campus. There isn't really anything for us here specifically on campus. There's no programs here for us specifically here on campus. It's not much at all. And we do go to a predominantly white institution. I know people use the term minority majority now, but history creates culture, and all of us, even though we may be minorities, we're not the same minority, so you can add us up all together, but to reflect the numbers in a way that maybe looks as if it's more of us, but it definitely doesn't feel like that. So I definitely kind of got my sense of community and organizations that kind of embrace me as a whole, really putting my academics first, and really just standing behind what I believe here on campus. So I would definitely say my OU story is being involved, being positive, find different groups that kind of reflect your values as a person, and always just kind of standing up for what it is you see fit. And that's another reason why I joined. I decided to run for SGA vice president because I saw a need for change. I saw a need for someone to advocate for all students, so that's why I kind of got into that realm of Student Government Association. I'm really happy that I can serve in that position, and that's where I'm gonna stop on my OU story.
So my OU story is kind of different. Unlike Jasmine and Caleb, I was not involved in my freshman year at all. I started off college with a 3.8 GPA, and my freshman year kind of got distracted, and my GPA dropped to 2.7. I'm talking, I would show up to my mom hey, Mom, I got a D in this class, or I just can't do it. I wouldn't even go to class because I just didn't feel welcomed in any way. I just couldn't make friends. I didn't want the teacher to call on me or anything like that. Sorry, my mask keeps falling down. But anyway, so as time went on, my sophomore year is when I started meeting friends. I started getting involved on campus. I started joining organizations that fit me better. And through that, joining these organizations helped me get more friends. And those friends were studying so hard for school, getting 4.0 GPAs and making good grades and stuff. And I was I really want to be like that. I want to do that. I don't want to sit here and be I'm making D's in grades or anything like that. But through all that, my friends helped me a lot, and the organizations that I was joining helped me a lot, because for some organizations you have to have a certain GPA to join, if I'm not wrong about that. And then
my parents were really supportive through the whole time. Like, there's this one thing my mom always used to say, I'm going to say it in Urdu. She used to be like, Mera turtle ek din zarur aage jayega, which means in English, like, she's my turtle and she will go ahead one day in life. She's slow, but she's at her own pace. So that's one thing that kind of stuck with me. Like, even if you start off late, don't let anything like stop you. Don't be discouraged by any grades, anything like that, because who knows, you might be the next person. I'm sitting here with a 3.6 GPA. I'm an OU Success Partner, and I'm also a Cardinal Community Mentor, helping students get through the phase that once I went through. So stay involved, surround yourself with great company, join organizations that fit you, and just never give up.
I like it.
Okay, well, my OU success story is similar to all of theirs. I came into Lamar fall of 2017. I kind of knew I was going to be this social figure because that's who I am. That's what I was in high school. I came in wanting to join organizations. One of the first organizations I joined was Lamar NAACP, where now I am the president, so I think that's amazing. I've also served as the president, and I'm the vice president of my sorority, Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, and I was vice president of the National Panhellenic Council. So me coming to Lamar, I knew I wanted to do something great. I knew I wanted to be something great, and I wanted to make a change on campus, and I can honestly say that I've done that. Lamar University was a big culture shock for me. I loved being able to see a lot more people that looked like me than where I come from. So that was amazing to see, but it's still different in the classrooms. I don't see people that look like me. My major has like one of the majors with the least amount of African American students. I'm a political science major, so it's kind of difficult. It was difficult, but I'm learning how to navigate through, how to work through. Lamar University as a PWI, like Jasmine said, so I mean, it's kind of similar to theirs. I'm here to make change and be a part of change, and I urge you all to join any organization. That's where all of my friends that I've made here on campus have been in all of the organizations that I have been in over time. So it's really important to find what you want to do and who you want to be around, and then kind of shape your Lamar University experience around that like I've done.
Thank you all for sharing your LU story. We appreciate it. So you mentioned Lamar University being a PWI, primarily white institution, which means that the majority of students here are white and historically have been. So how would you describe your experience with students within your race and then students from outside of your race or outside of the classroom? How would you describe those experiences?
Okay. First, I would like to say everything has its pros and cons. So nothing is perfect. Nothing in life is perfect. No person in life is perfect. So let's clear the air with that. But for all in all, I embrace it. I love it. Because honestly, the background and the community that I came from Dallas, Texas, I'm not gonna say this on camera, but the lifestyle that I lived was a lot different. And I feel like, honestly, if you continue to surround yourself with only the people that you're comfortable with, or the social group that you're comfortable with, you'll never be able to grow. So I felt like even though I may be the only minority in my class, or I may be the only guy in my class, because education is a predominantly female-driven industry. So I may be the only guy in the room, or I may be the only African American in the room. I feel like I embrace these different, privileges. I look at them as privileges, because you have the opportunity to shape the entire room's perspective on whether it's men, whether it's your particular race, whether it's men of your particular race. So I embrace these stereotypes, and I try to I try to contradict them. I definitely put forth my best effort of being the best reflection that anyone can see of somewhat of my particular faction. So I embrace it, and I try to be on time and be actually attentive and change the stereotypes mostly.
I'll go. Can you repeat the question?
Oh, yeah. So how would you describe your experience with students in your race and students from different races outside of the classroom or inside the classroom?
Outside of the classroom, typically I really only gravitate towards people that look like me. It's just who I am. I tend to, and that's okay. You can hang out with people that I do. I don't see the problem with it. In the classroom, I do find it a little bit more difficult. Unlike Caleb, I feel like the contradicting part of how I should be perceived in the classroom is unnecessary. I feel like in my classrooms, it's kind of hard to be the only one and try to change the perspective of others, because honestly, that's not a student's job.
Mm-hmm.
My job is to learn. So I find it difficult to be, if I'm the only one, or the only one that looks like me, the only woman, or the only African American. I find it more difficult. But that doesn't mean that you can't take the challenge. Like Caleb said, he embraces it. Someday I might embrace it. I'm sure you all will embrace it too. It also gives you a platform to go in and educate others. So,
Can I go? I feel like I share the same more sentiment as like Victoria's experience, maybe because we're both like African American and female. As far as like, can you repeat the question again? I just want to make sure I hit the head.
How would you describe your experiences with students in your race and students from different races outside and inside of the classroom?
Okay, well, with students inside of my race, I feel like inside of your race is always going to be a sense of community because you all have that shared culture. So even sometimes if you are from different cities, different countries, you all just naturally come together because we share this culture, we share this way of life, we share this way of living, and we have a shared understanding of things. So I feel like, especially with the organizations I've been affiliated with, it's always been open arms inside of my community. I feel like if it wasn't for like the Black community here at Lamar, I don't think I would be nearly as successful as I've had, because I feel like they've been really supportive of all of my endeavors here. As far as experience outside of my races, like students, like me and Victoria were the same major. I was political science. I switched over to sociology, is now like my minor. That's a very like white male dominated field, just it is. So in the classrooms, it definitely reflected that field. A lot of times you're ostracized. People don't want to be in groups with you. They assume that you're not going to do the same amount of work. So naturally, you're the person that they don't talk to the most. And, we can say like, oh, I want to change their perspective of me, but that's exhausting. That's exhausting for you to kind of bear the burden of, well, let me teach you that I'm not that loud. Let me teach you that I'm not aggressive. Let me teach you that I'm not angry. I feel like that's an unfair burden that like a lot of African Americans like face within this country. And I already have to subject myself to a lot of unfairness within this country. So I never want to feel like I have to prove myself to you that I'm a good one. I'm an okay one to be around, because a lot of the times I feel like in white spaces, and I say white spaces because we're at a predominantly white institution. I'm not saying it just, I'm using it in the right context. But a lot of times in white spaces, I feel like you're allowed to be there as long as you're a good one. As long as you can articulate well, you can speak well, maybe you can prove to me that you're smart enough, you don't talk too much, you're not too loud, you don't go against the norms too much. As long as you're one of them, then you'll be fine. But as soon as you kind of stray away from that narrative, then that's when you're not accepted. That's when you're a problem. That's when you're a burden. That's when you start to be silenced. So a lot of the times I feel like my experiences here has been similar to that, which is why when I walk into spaces as myself. I try not to feel like I have to conform as much, because it's going to be important for people who look like me from different backgrounds, and even if you don't look like me, from different racial minority backgrounds, to see, well, hey, she can be herself, fully herself, and she doesn't have to fit into this box when she walks into this room. So I feel like for me, it's really important for me to keep aspects of myself, because it's already so much that you have to melt into this melting pot. So I'd rather not do that, like when I walk into spaces. And also with professors, similar to, I'm sorry, I don't mean to go too long, similar to what Victoria was saying, I've experienced things in classrooms where I was the only African American student, I sat in the front every day. I came early to class every day, and I had a professor mark me absent 5 times. I missed class once, and it was excused because I went to the doctor. And when I went to him, I was like, oh, I've only missed class once. Like, why did you mark me absent 5 times? Well, he said, you must have just forgot. You must have just forgot how much you missed class. And it was the person that was head of that department. So it's like, what do you do in that situation? I was in class every day. So that just lets me know that you visibly did not see me. You did not see me. I wasn't important enough for you to regard me and even mark me absent. You missed me 4 times, you know? So it's just one of those things where it's like you have to really experience it to really feel it. And it's daunting, and I don't really ever feel like I want to prove myself to anyone because it's not my responsibility. Like, your ignorance is not my responsibility. So that's where I stand.
Can you repeat the question again?
So how would you describe your experience with students within your race and students from different races outside of the classroom and in the classroom?
So students in my race, my experience has been obviously good because as a Muslim, I relate to my friends more. I can speak to them in my language really more, and I can't really say like I just feel comfortable around them more than I would feel comfortable around anyone else. But out of my race, I can't really, because like Jasmine said, if you haven't experienced it, you can't really say anything. I haven't really experienced anything terrible at Lamar at all. Like, my friend group is just really diverse. Like, it's very diverse, so I just can't say anything because I haven't went through that. So that's on my part.
Also, could I just piggyback off what Victoria and Jazz had briefly spoke on? So honestly, I feel like, in my opinion, so I don't want my opinion to be taken out of context. So I don't want you to be anything less than yourself. But I do believe also that surrounding yourself by other people or by other races or other just social groups, I feel like that also makes you a more well-rounded person. Because like even smaller things, like I was never big into politics. People in my social group, they weren't talking about politics. You know, like, so it wasn't until I stepped out of my comfort zone and I started talking to people that didn't look like me or that didn't have the same conversations that me and my social group had to actually widen my perspective on just a lot of different things. And also, I'm not saying, don't ever sacrifice yourself. You know, don't ever sacrifice your soul or just different things that you hold near and dear to your heart, because I feel like then you will lose respect for yourself and your self-value will decrease. But it's also times and places for things. So it's that's not conforming when you just present yourself a different way at a different time and different things, because it's you can't be the same way everywhere. I mean, my mom always told me that, you know, you can't talk to me like I'm one of your friends, and that's true. Like, so when you're in different spaces or different settings, it is a time and place for everything. So don't sacrifice yourself, but at the same time, grow.
All right, we're going to pause for our pre-planned questions. Does anyone have any questions from the crowd?
And this is an open space, guys.
Yeah.
With that being said, on your last question, how would you go about trying to change that narrative, or with your teacher, what would you say to the next kid who had like the same situation?
I would say never accept it as normal, you know? Know that that's not how you're supposed to be treated. It's always someone else that you can go to, hire to talk to. It's different, like, procedures like Dr. Mena, he's the dean of students. Like, that's another person, a resource that you can have to talk to. In my situation, that was the person who was the department chair. So I would have had to really go, like, above to really kind of get that taken care of. But I would always say, always stand up for it. And my thing is, like, I have to stand up for it because that's obviously how you treat other people who look like me. So it's a bigger problem. It's not just an individual problem anymore. And especially if you're in fields where it's like, it's not a lot of minority students, you need to be, like, aware of things. You need to be culturally competent sometimes and, like, outside of your race. So I feel like, for me, I had to kind of say something, because it's like, it's not just about me, it's about the next student that comes. And maybe that's younger than me and they don't know how to stand up for themselves. Or people that just maybe maybe they're embarrassed, you know, because he said that in a classroom full of people.
Mm-hmm.
It was really embarrassing. I come to class every day. Even classmates were like, what is he talking about?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, at the end of the day, it was his authority versus me.
Versus your word.
So I would say also just try and get in leadership positions. That was another reason, things that kind of drove me into Student Government Association. So, like, you need people to sometime who can see, like, a bigger picture of things from different classes, different races. So I would say always just kind of stand up for it, like, never just accept it.
I would say one way. Well, first, definitely get sitting at the table. So sitting at the table, with my fraternity and just kind of the grand council that I'm on, we always had this saying: if you're not at the table, you end up on the menu. So. With that being said, like, a lot of times you have to be in the place to have just discussions like this. I feel like it starts with having these difficult conversations, these uncomfortable conversations, even within your own social friend group, within your own community friend group. You know, like, we talk about a lot of other things, you know, that may have little to no value, you know, on the daily. But, you know, like, I'm not saying you have to have these intelligent, intellectual, mind-bending conversations every time you talk to your friends, but, you know, you could sprinkle in a constructive conversation, you know, every here and there, you know. So, like, I mean, I feel like it all starts with just kind of your approach, your outlook, and just carrying yourself with just a sense of integrity and a sense of respect in all avenues. You know, not really necessarily doing it because you want to prove this entire ethnicity's perspective wrong, but you're just doing it because it's the right thing to do. Whether they're watching you or whether you're alone, this is what I would do because it's genuinely the right thing to do. And I feel like when you kind of carry yourself like that, you tend to care less about outside opinions and just how people may feel or perceive you, just because you know within yourself and within your heart of hearts that you're doing what you feel is best for you. And I feel like once you move like that, it's a different type of moving. You know, like, you get a lot more done that way.
I'm going to say make it a big deal. When people treat you wrong on campus, when professors treat you a certain way, don't let anyone trick you into believing that it's not a big deal. Make it a big deal because that's where change comes in. Mm-hmm. If I was to sit and let a professor talk to me crazy in front of a classroom of people and I just let it happen because I was afraid to say something, then it's going to carry on and it's going to happen to, like Jasmine, it's going to happen to another student that looks like me or to someone else. There's organizations on campus that you can, NAACP, if something's happening to you in classroom that you feel is injustice or unfair, come to us. We will make it a big deal for you because that's the only way to get things done. When, like I said before, like when you let people do stuff like that, professors, administration, then it's going to continue to happen. And it's been continuing to happen at Lamar. That's why, like Jasmine said, you have to run for positions and actually change things. I'm not in Lamar NAACP to twiddle my thumbs and have a kumbaya moment. We're actually here to get things done and to make change happen. Mm-hmm. So if that's happening to y'all, come, I will make it a big deal. I don't have a problem starting a problem on campus because that is a problem. So come to us. We'll get the SGA. Like, that's what the Student Government Association is for. They're not there to shake your hand. They're there to actually go to administration and get things changed. Mm-hmm. So.
Yes, Mr. President.
I just want to hear from y'all, like, what do y'all feel are, like, some actionable things? I mean, so I've heard y'all talk about getting in at the table, getting those leadership positions and stuff, but what do y'all feel like are some actionable things we can do collectively as not only a student body, but higher up? Like when I say higher up, I mean, like, administration, faculty, staff. What is something that we can do to just make sure that we're going forward, we're more equal, people are treated more fairly, and we're getting rid of these type of situations that we're having?
We need diverse faculty.
I agree.
That's why a lot of things happen, because sometimes people just don't understand, like, the things that they do. Mm-hmm. And, like, if you just have a group of people, like with any race, if you just have one race of people who are majority people who work at, like, a diverse institution, you know, it's not going to work out well. It's going to like run into problems. It's going to run into people not understanding the values of people, not understanding things, and even just causing friction within the university. I feel like until we have a diverse faculty, like genuinely diverse, and like people start getting hired, like now, I don't feel like much is going to change. And also it needs to be more student driven. A lot of things aren't really, and I'm speaking as a student, this is my senior year, I don't really feel like a lot of things are for me on campus. You know, I don't really feel like a lot of things are for students. I feel like a lot of things are for the enjoyment of like upper, you know. So I just wish things were more student-centered for our enjoyment, and then also just a diverse faculty.
I also think, I feel like it has to be a sense of genuineness, you know? Like, when we have conversations, or say if you have a open forum with administration, you know, and the administration is like, hey, we're listening to all your problems, you know? I feel like it has to be genuine. I feel like you can't come into the situation already saying, okay, we're gonna have an open forum, we're gonna listen to everything you have to say, but we also have a pre-planned agenda to contradict everything that is pretty much about to be said in this meeting, to say how we're already doing this. You know, like, we need to completely have a moment from scratch where both parties are coming from heart to heart, and we can actually open up and actually have this discussion, because I feel like it can't, I feel like if it's always a sense of like someone feeling like, oh, well, this happened because it may have just been a misunderstanding, or it may have just, you know, like when they're always trying to downplay the situation, or I feel like if it's a sense of like the tone is like condescending, like you're saying like, okay, like we're supporting you, or we're going to support you, or whatever the case may be, but like when this meeting ends, like everything is still going to just go back to normal. Like, it has to be a sense of genuineness. I feel like if it's not genuine, it still will never work. You can make all the changes in the world, and if the top 4 people in administration still feel the same way that they feel, the campus is still going to move the same, no matter how many different changes are made.
I think action and consequences is what promotes change. Like, it's just like America, if there was never a civil rights amendment put in place, then it would still be the same. If we actually put consequences onto students who disrespect students that don't look like them, or to administration, or to professors, then it'll make them change. No matter how they feel on the inside, you can't break the rules to a school that you work at, or to a school that you attend. So if we're actually going forth to give consequence, you'll get in trouble for anything, alcohol, any type of substance that you have in your room. But if a student is saying something derogatory, it's just like a don't do it again, pat on the back. And that's not okay, because that enables them to, oh, I didn't really get in trouble, so nothing's going to happen to me. And that's the problem. And that's also the problem, not only with students, but administration as well. There's no way a teacher marking Jasmine absent because of the way she looked, let's be honest, should be getting away with any of that. If there was real consequences and real action taking place on campus with people that are openly disrespectful and openly being prejudiced, then it would have to stop. If they were actually, no matter how they feel, no matter if they care or not, no one's going to risk their job over one student. So I feel like to put consequences in place is what's going to promote that change.
Put it in black and white.
Black and white.
Put it in black and white. Put it in writing.
There's no consequences right now. There's no rules. Like, sometimes you feel like I feel like somebody could really come up to any of us and really just
I feel
say
like no
anything
one's
derogatory.
ever stood up until now.
Until now.
Like, no one's ever stood up for anything going wrong. That's why for so many years it's continued for so long. It's like a chain. If you don't stop it, like, nothing's going to stop. You have to stick up for it. You have to say something. And, like, Jasmine and Victoria, I see them, like, sticking up for things that are right and stuff. So I feel like once you start standing up for what's right, then you'll see a change. You'll see it happen. So
And you also empower people around you that are not just as comfortable or as openly expressive as you are. Like, once they kind of see, like, I guess that spark of that flame, it kind of empowers them in a way that okay, like I can stand up for myself, or even if I can't stand up for myself, I know someone that will stand up for me that I can go to and I can speak to, and I can basically lay my burdens on. So.
Unfortunately, it has to be that way. But the good thing about the students at Lamar and the people on this panel is that we're willing to make change. I know Jasmine and Caleb, and I know you personally are willing and actively trying to see change. So as long as people are actively trying to change things and see a change, then there can be a change. If we're just sitting idly, which is what has been happening at Lamar, then things are just going to continue. So it's really up to us and you, because we're going to graduate, sorry. So it's up to all of us in this room and whoever else is watching to be the change that we want to see.
And also, if you see something that's wrong happening, don't just let that one person be the person who's speaking up. Stick up with them. Stand up with them. Like, who's gonna see one person and be like, okay, I'm gonna make a change, like she just said, just for that one student. Be the person to help make a change, help them, like stand up with them, stand up for them.
And also be consistent, okay? Like, I mean, we can have initiatives and we can have different things that can go forward that may have momentum or steam for a certain amount of time, but then, you know, like everybody kind of just goes into the cycle of back to life, you know? Like, we have to be consistent. Like, I'm not saying that we gotta, you know, just basically starve ourselves for a year, but I mean, if that's what it takes, I mean, if that's what the initiative is, like, I mean, I'm not saying that y'all gotta do it by yourselves, but I mean, I feel like if that's what people promote, or if that's what the move is, I feel like you have to band together and unify, and y'all got to come up with alternate ways. If y'all say y'all not supporting this, and this business, okay, so if you know those are like the predominantly majority places to eat on campus, okay, we know we got 7 organizations that's geared toward this community. Okay, so if each organization just pick up their slack and be like, all right, once a week we're gonna make pasta every Monday, you know, or the other group like, all right, once a week we're gonna grill some chicken every Wednesday, you know, y'all ain't gotta worry about eating, y'all just come pull up and we're gonna have chicken on the pit or something like that. Like, that creates alternate ways to where people can continue to be on the forefront of the cause, and they're not really suffering in the long run as far as how they gonna continue to operate day to day.
And I want to say something to what Sahar was saying. Like, if you see something, like, speak out against it. I don't always feel like you have to look like that person to empathize with them. Like, you know, I'm African American. Like, if I was to see, like, a Muslim student, like, something was to happen to them, I don't think I would just sit back and be like, that's not my fight. Like, it should really be all of our fight. Like, you shouldn't have to look like that person to know, well, maybe that's not right. You know, sometimes, well, maybe they shouldn't be getting treated like that. I feel like sometimes you really have to step outside even your own culture to really be like, okay, well, you know. And sometimes a lot of us are in, like, different places. Sometimes your voice will kind of carry a little bit louder than mine. You know, like, I can scream so loud, but yours the voices that they're going to hear first. You know, so I need you to scream with me so that maybe we can all be heard. So.
We have about 5 minutes left. Does anyone have any other questions?
About anything.
Organizations.
I had a question.
Okay.
So you mentioned some resources that they could come to ask you guys for, but sometimes as a new student you might not know how to get in contact with SGA or NAACP. Could you just tell us how we could actually follow up after this conversation to continue it?
I know everyone has social media, right?
Yeah, that's the best way.
That is the easiest way to get in contact with any active organization, including actually SGA has an office upstairs. And if y'all are looking to get in contact with the organization, 9 times out of 10 they can also help you get in contact with that organization. I say follow up through social media, or if you see us around campus, stop and ask. I'm pretty friendly, so you know, stop and ask questions. Yeah.
Check out LU Hub.
I wanna also point out, like, 2 like of the craziest, like, resources that we have that's in the building right now. So if y'all look in the back, the guy in the suit, he's the SGA president. So that's Mr. Prez right there. So like y'all have the SGA president in the room. So if y'all wanted to follow up with anybody, y'all could just hit him up before you leave and just be like, hey, Mr. President, I know you're a busy guy, but do you have a moment of time that we can have? And also Dr. Wilma Jackson. She's definitely like the lady to talk to. Like even if you just need to vent about certain situations, her office is in the Glodia building, the Global Diversity building. It's right next to the library. And so like if y'all just want to pull up on her, like she definitely can. She's a counselor. She's a advocate. She's a resume builder. She's pretty much everything. So if y'all need help with any type of, yeah, she's definitely the lady to go talk to. So. And stars. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I used to pay for tutors. Before I knew stars was available. Like
We have Reba sitting right here. If you need anything, tell her.
That's really like one of the best resources. Like I used to, before I actually knew stars was available at Lamar, I used to actually literally pay a student that was he was basically like a teacher's assistant, and I used to pay him like to study my labs. But now, like, once I found out about stars, like, I ain't gonna lie to you, y'all, if y'all not utilizing that, you paying for it anyway.
The writing
so you
center,
really just,
all of that.
you leaving money on the table, honestly.
I agree with Victoria, all of you all. Like, follow people on social media, talk to people. SGA has an office upstairs. We're usually, like, always in there. Mm-hmm. We also have office hours, so always feel free to come in. It's for us, it's for y'all, though. Like, we're there for y'all, so it's like it's open to literally anyone to come in.
Half of the SGA is in the building right now.
A lot of us are here right now.
And they're very welcoming. You can literally go in there and just vent to them. I've done that, so.
I agree. I feel like really getting involved, like going around, actually going to events as well. I feel like sometimes that can plug you into resources because you're networking with people and using like your resources on campus. Like Caleb was saying, Dr. Jackson is a really great resource. But sometimes you won't meet these people unless you network. Mm-hmm. So I feel like definitely networking, like opening up your scope here on campus and just really getting involved in different ways.
Don't be scared to sign up for an organization or look on LU Hub or reach out to anyone. Like if I knew about OU Success before, I would have used it, or tutoring, I would have used it, Writing Center, anything like that. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, organizations-wise, I'm in Muslim Student Association, Pakistan Student Association, and I have made literally lifelong friends out of those. So you never know what you can get out of something until you try for it. So sign up for it, look for what fits you best, and go for it.
Even in here, talk to each other. Y'all freshmen?
Like,
doesn't matter.
Just
talk to each other.
Real quick, like by classification, could y'all raise your hands? So like the freshmen, could y'all raise your hands?
Are you a freshman? Raise your hand.
Okay. Sophomores? Juniors? Okay. Seniors?
Yeah. Literally just talk to each other.
It's a pretty good mix.
It doesn't matter if you're a freshman, talk to each other because you're going to need the upperclassmen too. Mm-hmm. Get in cool with the upperclassmen.
Make connections.
Yeah, make connections. It's all about networking.
And I'm going to tell y'all, I'm going to share with y'all like one of the best resources that I learned when I first came to Lamar. So like, I know like y'all got same people, like, I mean, not same people, but some of y'all friend groups, y'all have like, y'all take some of the same courses. So like I noticed like some counterparts in different ethnicities, they actually share with each other, like as far as like notes and different things. Like I'm not saying cheat, like I mean I'm saying like when y'all studying, like if you didn't took a class already that like somebody that's younger than you that you cool with is taking, like keep your notes, like because you could probably be a blessing to that person. Like what I'm saying, like I'm not saying like steal the test or nothing like that, but like definitely keep your notes, keep your study guides. If y'all got graded assignments or something like that, keep that as well, so y'all can pass it down, so y'all can actually build that bridge to make it easier for the next person to come along.
Don't be that person to not pass it down. I hate people like those.
be a blessing, and just watch how God
and
bless
don't
you.
be charging to tutor anyone.
Facts.
Right? That is so true.
And if y'all believe, and if y'all are believers, definitely like keep that connection, keep that spiritual connection, because that'll get you through a lot of tough moments, because I ain't gonna lie to you, college, it's supposed to be like the prime of your life, and it is, but it also, it's gonna be y'all gonna encounter some things away from home, you know, that may literally change your life. Like my grandmother, she had a heart attack 2-3 weeks ago, and it shook me. Like it was hard for me to concentrate on anything else. And that wasn't a college problem, that was a real life problem. But I'm dealing with it while I'm in college. You get what I'm saying? So like, utilize your friend groups, and actually don't be afraid to be vulnerable with each other if you actually build connections with people, because that's what's gonna keep you over, bro. Don't overwork yourself, and don't drive yourself crazy trying to be this super strong macho person and act like you don't got feelings, and then when you dealing with mental issues, you don't know where it derived from because you just tried to suppress all of the things that you've been dealing with. I'm done.
If you could join me in giving our panel a round of applause. Thank you so much for joining today. So in the back, they're setting up T-shirts. We do ask that you turn in your survey to get a T-shirt. If you would like to continue this conversation, Lamar is also doing a book read across campus, and it's about how to be an anti-racist. And you can actually check out a book at the library or an ebook. And if you need more information, it's actually on the Glodia website. So you can come up afterwards and talk to any of our panelists as well. Thank you.
Hey, I know this is great.